All right, everyone. How are we doing? Tier 3. Kel's boiled. Get that on. Not many on. What's going on? We're all good. Going to talk about feedback. I'll wait a couple of minutes. Hope some people will join us. Everybody must be out in the sun. Oh no, hang on, there isn't any. Just let my tea brew. There. My last chocolate hobnob. Last one out of the pack, saved it especially for today. If anybody's got any biscuit requests, I'm going shopping tomorrow, so you can see your biscuit live next Tuesday. If you've got a favourite biscuit, I will buy your biscuit, and then you can see your biscuit being eaten. I'll give it a bit of a. I have a scone. That's good. Very good. Jam or cream first? Jam or cream? I know that's probably not the right question to ask, but. Or is it a scone? Scone or scone? That's old gag. What's the fastest cake in the world? Scone. There we go. Jam or cream? Oh, yeah, cream first. Cream first, says Matt. Oh dear. Oh dear. There's a bit of a domestic. Oh no, not domestic. I didn't mean that. A bit of a dispute online. That could be awkward. A bit of a dispute online. Jam or cream first? I've got to say, I'm a cream first person. Because doesn't and then you can just dollop the jam on the cream, whereas the cream surely gets a bit messy on the jam there. Anyway, I've got a question. I've got a question for you today as well, biscuit related. Before we do that, cream as much as you can with a little bit of jam. Yeah. no, please stay, Chloe. Don't go. My question today is biscuit related. Digestive biscuits. A lot of digestive biscuit action, but I read there's a world record for karate chopping through digestive biscuits. So incredible. My Google history, incredible. But how many biscuits, this is the question today, how many biscuits is the world record for karate chopping through? What do you reckon? I'll just get my tea bag. So karate chopping digestive biscuits. Not chocolate covered, just plain biscuits. So that's the question today. Oh, there's a few more people on. Question today, people who are just joining. What is the world record for karate chopping through digestive biscuits? Everybody eagerly awaiting Matt Croft's ridiculous guess, so we can all then work out what it isn't. So, a bit of digestive biscuit. Nobody's guessing. Why is nobody guessing? Come on, guys, guess. Has to be thousands. M&S have just released strawberry jam flavour crusty cream. Well, that's going to save time, to be honest, there, Clara. There's no argument then. So I think that's good. Or thousands. 17, Chloe Myers. It's a very good guess, actually. Anybody else want to have a guess? Just go for it. It's not thousands, though. So the argument can end. It certainly can. 24,000, just a little bit high. I will let everybody else know Matt Croft's guess of 24,000 is just a little bit high. 56.16, so very good. Anyway, should we do some feedback? We'll do some feedback. We're going to talk about feedback. We're going to talk about is there anything different with virtual feedback today? So we'll have a little look at that. Firstly, what I'm going to start with is why do we give people feedback? Doesn't matter whether it's virtually or face to face, but why do we give people feedback? And there are, in fact, really two main reasons. There's only two big reasons we give feedback. And there's a few other things that will come in as associated reasons, but there's two core reasons that we give feedback to people. And they are firstly because we want them to repeat a behaviour or knowledge level or skill level. Or the other reason is we want them to change a knowledge level, skill level, something like that. Yeah. So there's things like about trust, motivation, development, all those things I get. But it is essentially because we want it to stay the same or we want it to be different. Now, if I said to you, what do we prefer to give? I think most people would say prefer to give positive feedback. And I think most people believe they prefer to give it. I'm not sure we're great at giving it, to be honest. I think what we're really good at is giving praise. And even if whether you give feedback or receive it, think about the last bit of feedback, positive feedback that you believe you gave or received. And it's probably going to be something like that was a great job, well done working on Project X, thanks for your help. That for me is praise. There's a few reasons I think it's praise, but it's non-specific. That's the big one. So positive feedback's got to be a lot more than that. Now, bizarrely, I think we're better at giving developmental feedback. So And what I mean by that, so let's say if I get some feedback on a presentation, sometimes people say, "Oh, that was a great presentation. I really enjoyed that." That for me is praise. However, they want to give me developmental feedback. They say, "I just want to talk about your presentation. Overall, it was quite good. However, I did notice that you overran by 30 minutes. Yeah, and what you did was start to disengage some of your learners." Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that's specific. I've got to keep a tighter eye on feedback, on timing. So I think we give developmental feedback a lot better. Because if somebody comes up to me and says your presentation was rubbish, I'm going to say to them, what do you mean my presentation was rubbish? That's not. Whereas if they say to me your presentation was brilliant, I go, oh, thanks very much. And I walk off and feel really nice about it. So I think we give developmental feedback naturally better. I don't think we enjoy giving it, but I think we give it naturally better. So that's the kind of things that we're talking about really with feedback. So if your boss says to you as well, you did a great job, push him for some feedback and say, well, what was it I did particularly well? Because then you can repeat it. So let's think a little bit then about what we're going to do. So I'm going to give you some things that the kind of impacts on feedback, particularly virtually, and then I'll give you a little model because we all like a little model. So first thing, you have to firstly think about how much you're seeing people, because when we were in the workplace, so pre-March, you'd see your boss, you'd see people, you could just quickly catch them, maybe at a coffee machine or anything like that. And feedback could be really instant. So if as leaders we're not connecting with people, when you do message them and say, oh, can we have a catch up? That's going to bring into play that, oh no, could this be bad news or could this be more work? So I want the conversation to be nice and natural. So therefore, firstly, you've got to connect regularly. That's the key thing. Otherwise, we're going to get, back in the office, it used to be if your boss said, have you got a minute? And then they said, oh, I've booked a room. It was like the walk of death. So somehow we've got to move that away. So regular communication, regular conversations, catch-ups. I remember I've said on previous tier threes, it's not about where are you or what are you doing? It's about how are you? And I think those kind of questions can help massively. So regular communication, that's the first thing. Now, the second bit, how are you going to do it? We've got so many tools available, but this is the best one. If I can go face to face with someone, it's so much better. You can see them. So go face to face. Don't do feedback really by email, by WhatsApp, by text message. Go face to face, video them in. And the more that you can see people, the easier it is. I mentioned a little bit earlier in feedback, it's got to be specific. So you've got to let the person know exactly what they've done. So make it specific. Don't just say, oh, I liked your presentation. What was it specifically about the presentation? The length of it, the slides they used, the tone of delivery. What was it, the storytelling within it? But make it specific if we're talking about that. I was reading somewhere that in the US, like 10 pieces of positive feedback to 1 piece of developmental. I think we're probably a little bit better at handling, and we seek less in the UK. But try and get that balance. A lot of people see feedback as remedial, so we do have to get a bit of balance about it. And if the only time you're speaking to people is to give them developmental feedback, they won't want to speak to you. So as bosses, make sure you're communicating regularly. And the other thing, of course, is a two-way street. So make sure you're kind of speaking to people, asking them how they feel. And the big thing, it's a question we've probably all been asked, whether it's face-to-face or virtually, but how do you think it's going? It's a really great question to start with. Now, the most common answer to how do you think it's gone? It's okay. Now, if you're going to ask that question and get that as an answer, there's no point, if you're then going to come in and go, yeah, it was okay, but this is what I've noticed, there was no point in asking a question. So if you say, how was it? And they say, okay, stretch it out. Get them to work harder. Okay, what do you mean by okay? Let's score it out of 10 then. So 10's perfect, 1's, not great. What would you score it? That okay might translate into a 6 or a 7. And then, of course, you can say, well, okay, then. So what do you think you have to do to get up to a 10? Or if they say it was a 10, okay, what do you think? Why did you score it a 10? To score it a 1? Okay, was there nothing that would raise it just to a 2 or a 3? So get people to work. Don't just say, how was it for you? Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it was, but. And then launch in. So if you're going to make it a two-way street, make sure you do make it a two-way street. And the last thing is a little model, because we like a little model. So the model that you can find on a lot of Emsley Fraser material, if you've got access to an engagement hub, stuff like that, material boff. So we boff people with some feedback. And these simple things, the first thing is about behavior. So what did the person do? And I've mentioned that specific nature. What did they actually do? What was it you heard, you saw, whatever. Sometimes we might have to give secondhand feedback. It's not ideal, but what's the behavior that we're giving feedback on? The second bit, the O, for me is really critical, and it's the outcome. What happened as a result of the behavior? And this works for positive or developmental feedback. So what was the outcome of the behavior? So when you did X, Y happened. Yep. And I'll try and give an example at the end here. The first F is for the feelings of the person. So what happens? How do they respond to it? How do they take it? Some people actually go, "Oh God, do you know, I didn't know I'd done that. Thanks for letting me know." And they go away and they change it. Or, "Oh, thanks a lot. I had no idea I did that. That's brilliant news. Found something out that I didn't know I was doing." Other people might get upset. They might try and rationalise it away. Because remember, feedback, but for a lot of people, it seems remedial, and so they almost don't want it. And we've probably all worked for a boss that's never really given us a lot of feedback, things like that. So regular feedback will motivate. And the last one, the last F, is about future. Make it future focused. So what do you want them to do next? And that could be repeat the behavior, or that could be just make the tweak. You can ask them, what do you think you can do differently? You know, if you were doing the thing again, what would you do? Would you do it the same? Would you do it different? What else would you bring in? So now I mentioned the O and the outcome, and that's a really important bit for me. If you get the outcome in, it depersonalizes the feedback. A lot of people say, you know, if I don't like the way maybe somebody speaks to a client or something along those lines, it's really hard because it feels like it's about the person. If you make it about the impact it had on the conversation, so you know, if I can give feedback in a virtual meeting, you know, you can talk about something that you saw, but when you lean back in your chair or when you disengaged or looked away for a moment, can you remember how the client responded to that? And it'll encourage them to see the impact of what they've done rather than you saying, don't lean back in the chair in a virtual meeting. So little things like that. It'll work face to face. It'll work online. Remotely, the biggest thing is regular. So stay in contact with your people, because then feedback can become a natural part of conversation. Because I somehow want to move away from this feedback is bad, and it's something that's done separately from every other conversation. Okay, so there's some little tips. Next Tuesday, what we're going to do, because we've got a weekend, the weather's going to be great. But next Tuesday, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of creativity. Did a bit of problem solving, did a bit of decision making. Let's go, we'll take it back to creativity. How can we generate some ideas, things along those lines? It's a bit of an alchemy type topic that everybody thinks they're not creative. So we'll find some ways that we can prove that we're all creative. And of course, biscuits. How many biscuits did this guy chop through, karate chop through? Matt Croft just out with 24,000. And Clay Myers, very impressive. The answer is actually 18. So just one biscuit out. So if you'd got one the other side, you'd have been bang on. So Clay Myers, very good. That's 18 biscuits. I'm just going to crunch my way through one chocolate hobnob. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend, everybody. And I'll look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. Thanks for joining me today.